Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a bonus edition. This is volume number 4 of the Wulong Talks podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined tonight by the crew. I'm joined by the man geek up north, Big A. Say what's up, bro.
What's up, peeps?
And I'm joined by the Rustling Kid, Richard, as well, down south, aka Rich Reviews. Rich, say what's up.
What's happening?
Cool. Well, we're glad you're joining us today. We're here because, well, we're here to talk about the trailer that everybody on planet Earth is talking about right now, and that's the Avengers Infinity War trailer. Presumably by now you've seen the trailer 40 or 50 times. If you haven't, like, what's wrong with you? I don't understand, like, why you would be avoiding that. But we're going to talk about it and we're going to break it down. We're going to hopefully explain some things that maybe a few people weren't too sure about. And we're going to have some fun speculating as well about what we think that is coming ahead in the movie, and a little bit about what we can expect possibly from Avengers 4 as well. So before we do all of that, though, boys, you're all good? Have you been up to anything this week? Have you done anything fun, anything geeky, anything that you want to share with the group? Alvin?
Yeah, I played a bit of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Took me a long time to download, and well, I had to download Windows 10 and yada yada. But yeah, I finally played a bit of it. The campaign seems okay. It seems all right. It's nothing special. It's just like, you know what I mean? But I'm not disappointed that the money came out of my account. I'll probably do a bit of online at some point, but it's okay. It's all right. It's not bad.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you if you were a little bit disappointed by the campaign scene, as because I've noticed a few people online have said that the campaign mode is not that great.
Yeah, essentially, the way it works is you're bombarded. You'll be forced into kind of like an area, and then you'll just be bombarded with laser fire, pop out to shoot something every now and again. It doesn't have its own kind of feel. Like, you know, when you play Deus Ex and it's got its own feel, you play Halo, it's got its own feel, you play Call of Duty, it's got its own feel. Star Wars Battlefront, there doesn't seem anything complex about it, or the AI or anything like that. It's just simple, but it's cool Star Wars shit, you know what I mean? You're firing blasters, you're part of the Empire, fucking, you get to fly a TIE fighter pretty early on and all that kind of stuff. So it's all the cool shit you want to do, but the gameplay itself isn't anything special. It's nothing revolutionary. It's all shit you've seen before.
Okay, cool. Rich, how about you? You been up to anything?
I started watching. Well, I need to go back and watch it properly. I'm watching numerous things. I think I need to calm down a bit. So I started the Punisher, which already I'm sold. Like, from the first episode, I was sold. And I think John Bernthal is literally just perfect as Frank Castle. Is actually like ridiculous. And I've been preaching it. I mean, you guys have seen it already, but literally anybody else that hasn't seen it. I mean, my pitch has always been a thing of that. I understand that you've heard this is this Marvel thing. Just forget all that. It's just a good story about a guy who suffers from PTSD, and he just does XYZ. And it just happens to be set in a comic-based universe or a comic. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I started watching Peaky Blinders as well, which I'm really, really upset with myself about, because I tried to watch it when it first came out, and I wasn't really interested. I just happened to catch a couple of episodes last week, and it's like, I think it was like season 2 or season 3, and I was just really shocked at how much I enjoyed it. Like, the acting is on point. The actors that they've got in, I mean, you've got Cillian Murphy, Tom Hardy, who's the guy who played the pianist, and he's got Adrian Brody. Like, you've just got like just so many people just coming in, and they just play it. Normally, you got Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. It's just a really, really good show. And BBC have really, really outdone themselves with that show. And then I started watching Valerian. That Valerian film.
Please tell me you stopped watching it.
I didn't. You know what? I can't even knock it right now. It just feels like it feels like another Luc Besson film. That's the thing. Luc Besson hasn't done a good film in years, and any film that you have. Pardon?
What point did he get to? Like, when did he turn it off?
How far did I? They've still in that virtual reality place, so it's still quite near the beginning. But it
Yeah, I'd
plays
say
like a
stop there,
side.
to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, but
Yeah,
visually it looks
I'm not
amazing.
even joking. Visually, if you just want to have a visual treat, the
Yeah.
film's great for that. If you're looking
Mm.
for a story to go with that, you're
Ah, no,
shit
no, no,
out of
no, no,
luck.
no, no,
You know
no,
what
no,
I
not
mean?
even,
Like
not
literally,
even.
the best bit you've seen is at the beginning with the space station, and that whole story of like the space
Yeah,
station, how it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's actually quite a
yeah,
cool concept.
yeah,
But there's
yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah.
done with
It
that
is. You're right.
concept further into the film. Like it's not. That's not what's at stake. You'd expect that whole thing to be at stake, but that's not. But yeah, if you want to watch the rest of it, go by all means. I mean, it's CG is all really good and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
you're not going to enjoy the rest. I can pretty much guarantee it.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, well, to be honest, I can't see myself hating it. If it's visually like this, all the way through the film. Like I said, I'm not expecting anything. I think the last good film that Luc Besson done was easily over 10 years ago, and that was Angel A.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good film. It's
Yeah,
kind of
that is
like
good.
his kind of, it's basically Luc Besson's love letter to France. Well, not to France, to Paris. That's the only thing I can say about it. It's a black and white film, but and it stars Jamal Debbouze,
Oh,
who's a French comedian. Yeah,
yeah.
he's a
He's
French
like a comedian,
comedian.
isn't he? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's a French comedian, and basically he's part of the same camp and I think he actually lived in the same building as there's a famous French footballer. I can't remember who it is, but they lived in the same building, and in that same building is the same guy who was in that film. Was it Untouchable?
Oh, yeah. What's
Is
his
it
name?
Untouchable?
I know this guy's name.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
footballer. Frank Leboeuf, I think it is. I think it's Frank Leboeuf.
Is it Frank Leboeuf? I can't remember, but basically they're like all from the same area,
Yeah.
and they all basically help push each other. So when one person made it, they were like, okay, cool, I've met this person, and so forth and so forth. But it's just a nice romantic film. I mean, like when you see the trailer and when you see the film, it's two different things, but you're not disappointed. So yeah. So that's what I've been doing: Peaky Blinders, Valerian, and Punisher.
Nice. Well, I've kind of been catching up on a lot of stuff as well myself, really. I did manage to sit down and watch pretty much all of Mudbound, which is a movie out on Netflix at the moment.
Shit, I started that as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Mudbound is absolutely amazing. So listeners, I will do a review of that because I thought that was a fantastic film. The acting in it is superb, and it's one of those movies that's kind of a little bit uncomfortable to watch at times, but in a way that makes you kind of think. And I don't mind discomfort when there's a point to it, or when they're trying to say something about the nature of human behavior, which is what this film does very, very well. It's a typical kind of American South film in the sense that it's about kind of like struggle against poverty. It's about hardship. It's about family. It's about, human relationships and how complicated those can be sometimes. But all of the performances in it are top notch. And yeah, I was surprised by the performance of Garrett Hedlund, because I'd never seen that. I haven't seen that guy since like Tron Legacy, I think was the last thing I saw. So, and he weren't great in that. So, he does really well with the role he's got. But as said, everybody really kind of is, I struggled to pick out somebody out of the core cast who I felt was poor. They all delivered well on their roles. So definitely I'll have a review for that coming up. What else did I see? I also saw The Disaster Artist, which is like one of the funniest films I've seen in quite a while, and definitely the funniest film of the year. Again, I'm going to do a review for that as well, so listen out for that, listeners. That will go up shortly. But that is a film I can't recommend highly enough. Even if you haven't seen The Room, the Disaster Artist is so good, you can still get the idea of what The Room is about and why it's such a cult classic with so many people. So definitely check those out as well. And I also sat down to watch Godless, the series as well, which kind of disappointed me a little bit. It wasn't quite what I expected. and it's you know, the acting in it is very good, but from a story point of view, I thought it was pretty bog standard, really, a kind of bog standard Western, to be honest, and it didn't really deliver on some of the concepts and the ideas that it sold in its trailer. It really didn't. But that said, you know, I suppose it's worth a watch, but yeah, it didn't really do anything for me. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get on to the main dish, the main course, the reason why we're here. Boys, we've been waiting a long time for this, man. Like, think about when we were doing our podcast about San Diego Comic-Con, and we were talking about, you know, how much we wanted to see an Avengers Infinity War trailer, and we were all kind of convinced that we were going to get it, you know, if not the same day that they played it at Comic-Con, at least, you know, 24 hours later. And Marvel Studios said nope and made us wait and literally have made us wait for the rest of the year until yesterday when they finally dropped the trailer for us. And upon initially watching the trailer for the first time, because I've seen it multiple times now, and boy, I've lost count. I mean, I know that Alvin was saying earlier when we were talking that it's got like 70 million views or something like that in 24 hours. Like, I'm sure I've contributed about 16% to that. So yeah, I've massaged those figures myself. But yeah, you know, the initial reaction I got from it was just like, there's so much information here. I need to kind of like, I need to watch this several times, and then I need to sit down and think, because there's so many things going on. Even though it doesn't feel like there's a lot of information that they're actually giving away. But there's also a lot of information that they're holding back too. But guys, what was your like initial thoughts on watching the trailer? I mean, has the trailer pretty much sold you now for May next year? Alvin, we'll start with you.
I was sold already. Like I was always going to be sold. Like literally, like, on the day, as soon as it came up, like I watched it on Facebook first because that's where it came up first, like straight away. And like fucking, I just stopped doing whatever I was doing. I just put it on, put the TV on loud and that. And yeah, man, it was just like, it was just showing everyone almost everyone, most of the characters where they are. And you got to see snippets of things, like there's loads of questions that you kind of have, but you kind of know you get to see the climax as well as to like what the climax is like, which I think happens mainly in Wakanda. But yeah, all the stuff. I was pleased. I was more than pleased because it's the combination of everything. You know what I mean? Next year it's 10 years of the MCU. You know, and it started in 2008 with a little film called Iron Man that. It could have not succeeded. It could have made no money, and then there would be no MCU. But people went to see it, people liked it, and that just got the ball rolling, man. And it snowballed, and now we've got this, which potentially could be the biggest like comic book movie of all time, if not in terms of like scale and what they do in the movie, then you know money as well. But yeah, I'm totally down. I'm totally in. Hearing that theme tune at the end, I was there.
Cool. Rich, initial thoughts as well on the trailer. Again, we'll go into kind of like the details and stuff, so you don't have to go into detail now. But just how you felt when you watched it, and you know, did you have a little bit of wee wee coming out of you, same as I did?
A little bit of wee wee. I had a lot of wee wee, and I you know, I liked it. Yeah, like same thing. I was sold. Like that's how a trailer is meant to be cut. Simple. That's it. I mean, and it's weird, and I mean, I know it's not fair, but you know, I know this isn't going to be fair of me to say. And like I said, like we've said before, it's never about one company versus another company. But you look at that trailer, and then you compare it to all of the Justice League trailers, and that trailer, if anything, is actually more entertaining than the Justice League film. And like I said, I know it's not fair to say because one's there for instant gratification, and then one's there, you know, as a feature-length movie. But listen, everything that you're seeing in that trailer, I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg. That trailer was freaking amazing. Like I was sold. It gave me goosebumps, man. Like I saw stuff in that spun my head. Yeah, that's it. Sold, mate.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing that Alan Silvestri theme again, just kind of it kind of gets the hair standing up on
Mm,
on your arm like Spider-Man. But
mm.
it gets that the blood pumping, and I like the kind of twists on that as well, like the slightly slower introduction, and then the kind of like the darker tones as the events of the trailer were folding out, and then capping it off with the original theme was just brilliant. I mean, whoever does like Marvel's trailers, Jesus, that person deserves like a raise, a bonus, a nice holiday in Hawaii, and whatever else, because they sell the hell out of like any Marvel movie. Any Marvel movie. And I don't know who does it. I don't know if they go like Warner Brothers do go to a specific company, or whether they just hire different editors at different times, or if it's all done in house. I don't know. But yeah, whoever does their trailers, man, gee, like it's insane. But you kind of touched on like a culmination, Rich. So we might as well start off with talking about the biggest reveal of the trailer, really, which was the introduction of Thanos, because he's a character that's been teased and slightly dangled in a couple of movies, and we've had like some post-credit scenes where we've glimpsed him, and he made an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy. But aside from that, we've not really seen a lot of him himself. So when the trailer actually reveals him opening out from the portal, what was your initial feelings and thoughts on that? I mean, did you think first of all, as a character, did you think he looked good for an all CGI character, or did you think it didn't quite work against the background? What were your initial thoughts about his introduction in that trailer, basically? Richard, start with you, yeah?
Yeah, I saw nothing wrong with it. I couldn't floor the appearance of Thanos. I mean, it's one that I saw something on social media today about the different ways in which Thanos has appeared in each of his cameos throughout the Marvel universe, and I was like, yeah, like so what? Like, don't nitpick at shit. The first appearance of Thanos was what, 2010, 12?
12,
2000,
yeah,
yeah,
2012,
2000, yeah, 2012. So shit changes, shit happens.
Well,
But
technology changes, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Like, things
Technology
get
changes.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens.
And so and the way how I see it is just a thing of like, it's just another artist rendition of a character. That's how I view it. And now they've actually just nailed it. It looked like Thanos, and the look on his face, he looked like he'd actually given out. He'd actually run out of fucks to give. He walked through that portal with just like, yeah, you know who I am.
Do you know? I was sorry to interrupt you, but it just triggered me to remember something. I was watching Double Toasted.
Yeah.
And they were doing their reaction to the trailer, and Corey said that, and this made me laugh. He said that Thanos looked like he'd just come home from jail and he was looking to bust somebody up. Like, that guy that's done a hard bird, and prison ain't been kind to him, and he ain't been kind to prison, and he's like still full of anger. And he come like you're all waiting for the big welcome home party, and you're waiting for the person to come through the door. When they come through the door, they've got that look on their face that says, yeah, I may have left prison, but I ain't left the prison life behind. Like, listen, I'm not out here to play. Like, so wagwan, what we did here, and I love that look on his face, man. That was wicked. But sorry, carry on.
So with Thanos, I thought it was just perfect, and you can see, like, I like the fact that they've taken the same thing that they did with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, where they put Mark Ruffalo's face into the CGI of the Hulk. So you've still got that kind of connection there. And with Thanos, you can see Josh Brolin's face in Thanos. He just felt, he didn't feel like a CGI character. There's this thing of like, CGI villains and all of this malarkey, and I'm like, cool, fair enough. But then I think that's an excuse that if something's not done right on both ends. So for example, you look at somebody like Andy Serkis, like when he plays Gollum, or when he plays like, whoever, I think like Kong, or when he plays like Caesar, like as a good actor with good CGI. And that's what I saw when I saw Thanos. When I saw Justice League the other day, it was, well, little to no acting with just standard CGI. That's the reason why it was shit. And then obviously you've got the writing behind it as well. But yeah, it just looks really really good, and it just reminds it doesn't remind me so much of the Thanos that we have now, because I think he's a bit watered down. That's in my opinion, but it reminds me of badass Thanos from the 90s. Anybody who hasn't read Thanos from the 90s, go and pick up those issues when he was in Infinity Gauntlet, and he was literally this troublemaker. You think he's like this guy who's trying to take over the universe, but he's almost like thing to him. It's just another day. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna come and just cause some shit. Yeah, well, you're trying to kill half the universe. Yeah, well, why not? And that's what I saw when I saw Thanos' face. Like that they've nailed it so much. Like it's I feel like fucking Tank in the Matrix when he realizes that Neo is the one. That is like I'm just so excited, man.
Cool. Alvin, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. Like literally, I know. Like last episode, like we were saying about Justice League and like CGI villains and how they can be boring, but I think they can be done right. This for me is one done right, just because I see him come through that portal, and yes, it's CG, but as he steps closer, and if you actually watch the scene in kind of like slow motion, the character's emoting. Like he steps out and he's actually looking around, and you'll see him, he breathes in a little bit and he does like a little nose twinge when he's breathing in the air. And then he actually spots something in the distance and like stops, and you can kind of see him begin to smile, and it's all nuance. You know what I mean? It's a performance. And that's what I think stands out for me the most. I mean, most people won't notice it unless you look at it. And I'm looking at it now on like my TV, and it's a performance that's there. And also like how much detail they've got in his face. His face isn't perfect. It's like he's almost got like lines and scratches in his face, and also like almost like a stubble as well, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got stubble on his top lip. Like I noticed that today when I'd watched it again on my TV. He's actually got stubble on his top lip, and I was like, wow, that's what you call attention to detail. Like they've actually given they've given Thanos a 5 o'clock shadow, you know, like it's just it's crazy really how detailed it is. But yeah, I noticed that as well. But sorry, carry on, man.
Yeah, and what sells it the most also is like the eyes as well, because the eyes they look like real eyes to me. You know what I mean? Sometimes like when they do CG characters, the eyes can look dead. They don't look like anything, but this looks like it could have been like, you know, Vinnie Jones in X3, where they gave him that big ass jaw and that for Juggernaut.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be that. You know what I mean? You could go, oh, maybe it's like extreme makeup and made his jaw bigger and that. Obviously padded him out a lot as well. But it's not that. This is CG, but it's good, man. It's like, as far as CG characters go, I think I'm gonna dig this one. I think in the final, I think there's 1 or 2 shots maybe where it's borderline, not uncanny valley, but you go, oh, it looks CG, but it has not finished the rendering yet. We've got another 4 months. We're seeing the early stuff. This is all the early stuff that we're seeing that they've done, so it's going to be polished even more. But yeah, I think he looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, I saw a few people online kind of saying, oh, well, you know, if you're going to complain about like Steppenwolf, then you've got to complain about Thanos as well, because he's just CG. But I think, as you both have said, like the massive difference is, you know, the fact that in the few seconds we got in that trailer, particularly in the character's reveal and introduction, we got nuance without him saying a word. Like, you know, he didn't have a word of dialogue in that scene, but already he was emoting, you know, as a fully fleshed actor would. So that kind of shows you the level that they've hit in terms of the quality of the CGI they were able to put up on screen, and also the way in which they've been able to use time to their benefit to perfect the way that he looks as well, and the way that he emotes. You know, whereas by comparison, it's quite obvious that Steppenwolf was rushed, that they didn't have time to do what they wanted to do. So yeah, you know, he was fantastic, man. The reveal I thought was brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Thanos on the screen. What did you think of Josh Brolin's voice as well? Because it didn't sound like they'd really augmented his voice too much. They've maybe dropped the pitch a little bit to make it sound deeper, but otherwise that sounded pretty much like Josh Brolin. So yeah, I mean, what do you think, Alvin?
I think sometimes there's a tendency to kind of like mess with voices too much. I like his voice as it is. So I wouldn't want them to mess with it really any more than they actually have, because sometimes I think they can make these CG characters seem too larger than life in terms of voice and too garbled, and you just end up not caring. Whereas I think it's enough like he's a formidable individual, but it's not like over the top. Everything he says is actually pretty kind of calm and mellow. Like he's just confident in his ability. So it's like the whole line that he says about fun and all that kind of business. It seems kind of chilling because that's just the way he is. He's just like shit ain't fun, but this does bring a smile to my face. That kind of thing. It's like he just sounds like a guy, and I think I think that will add to us being able to kind of connect, but think of him as an actual character rather than a CGI animated thing.
Yeah, for sure. Rich, did you want to add any final thoughts on Thanos, or should we move on?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the voice, I thought was perfect as well when with the look. But this isn't the first time that Marvel have said, okay, listen, we're not gonna just do like some CGI villain for. Well, I mean, they have done CGI villains, but no, we're not just gonna like just throw something on screen. We want you to feel it, to emote with them. So like obviously you guys were talking about like the expression and the emotion that Thanos has shown on his face, but they did the same thing with Ultron. I don't know if you remember when they picked James Spader to play Ultron. That's one of the things that, because I think you saw Ultron before I did, Jason, and you were saying that like the voice of James Spader was just like, fuck, it's kind of just like almost scarily chilling, but at the same time he's quite charismatic. And I remember that one of the things when Joss Whedon was saying how he didn't want anybody else to play, wanted this guy because he wanted you to really believe that this was somebody, not just a fucking CGI on the screen. And that's what I got from the voice of Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin's got a badass voice anyway, whether he's talking normally or whether he's whispering, and it just goes with the CGI. Like Thanos is here to cause some trouble, man. Anybody that doesn't know the character of Thanos.
Yeah, for sure. So were there any kind of standout moments for you guys from the trailer, aside from the big reveal of Thanos? We'll get to the end of the trailer, so yeah, don't worry about that. I've saved time for that, so we're gonna go all over that beautiful goodness at the end of the trailer. But aside and Thanos aside, was there any kind of other moments that got you hyped, or things that you kind of got you thinking? Because there was a couple of scenes, but I'll give my 10 pence after you lot speak. But there were a couple of things that kind of stood out to me. But was there anything that stood out to you apart from those two? So Rich, you can start.
Yeah, the trailer. Just the trailer. Listen, the trailer delivered from beginning to end. I swear to God, man. Any standout moments? It's weird because, like I said, there's not any single moment that I found any less interesting than another scene.
Well, no, I mean, not that you didn't find it interesting, just things that kind of maybe piqued your interest.
Well, okay. I'll say this, and I'll say this is probably due to like smart marketing on their behalf. There was a lot more of Wakanda included in the trailer than I expected, especially considering that we haven't even seen Black Panther movie yet, which is obviously smart marketing on their end. Because if I remember correctly, I remember like me and you, Jay, were talking earlier, and in the description that was given in the San Diego Comic-Con version of the Infinity War teaser or the Infinity War trailer, there wasn't as much Wakanda in it. So obviously they're basically just whetting our appetites, for 2018 to kick in. Which is obviously going to kickstart with the Black Panther. So seeing the character of T'Challa, you've even though, like I said, we haven't seen a film, you can already see that he's grown as a character. There's a distinct difference in the way how he holds himself and how he even appears. compared to the last time we saw him in Civil War, which is what, 2 years ago. Yeah. So I like that. That's one thing that did stand out to me.
Cool.
Not that it was better than anything else, but it caught my attention.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on in terms of the marketing. I think, you know, clearly there was a decision made to you know, to include more footage of Black Panther elements, because obviously that's the next, you know, Marvel Studios movie after Thor Ragnarok that we've already had. So, you know, anything you can do now to kind of familiarize people with that world and you know, with the character of Black Panther is a good thing. So yeah, you know, clearly there was a decision made to do that, and yeah, it appears to be a smart one, as you said, because it, you know, it's something that's kind of stood out from the trailer for you. So yeah, I would definitely echo that. Alvin, for you, anything that kind of like stood out, as said, apart from the big well, we'll talk about the money shot at the end, but yeah, aside from that, was there anything that kind of stood out for you?
Pretty much mostly what Richard was saying about like not expecting to see that much of Wakanda. I really wasn't expecting that much of the story to take place there, but it seems like something very important happens there. But in terms of specific, like a little moment, it would have to be kind of like the reveal of Cap, and at the same time having T'Challa says his lines of evacuate the city, engage all defenses. I was like, oh, shit's about to go fucking down. You know what I mean? I was just like, man, the stakes, the whole thing just has stakes, and I'm just like, I just can't wait to see it all kick off. Also, just quickly, is this part one we're seeing, or are there bits of part two in here?
What you mean in terms of this and Avengers 4
trailer?
Yeah, no, this is all Infinity War.
This is all Infinity War, because
yeah.
This
is
seems
all
like
Infinity War.
It seems like it's going to be like loads.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah,
I think that. I mean, I'll maybe I'll save this question for you two at the end. But I think this is definitely going to be the longest MCU movie that we've got so far, just in terms of running time, simply because there's so much ground that this trailer has already, you know, covered, and so many plot threads and so many elements that they've introduced in that trailer, that surely it's going to need 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours 50 minutes, maybe even pushing 3 hours to cover all of that ground. So I think this is going to be the longest one that we get, but this is definitely all just Avengers Infinity War, because Avengers 4, they haven't even they're still shooting Avengers 4. So it's it's not even close to being finished at the moment, Avengers 4. I think maybe like the main photography is done, but I think there's still a lot of post-production work to do, and then there'll probably be reshoots and redubbings and things like that as well. So yeah, there's still like loads to go on Avengers 4. But yeah, this is what you saw in that trailer is pretty much all in Avengers Infinity War. So yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. But let's get down to some of the geeky stuff. Alf, did you want to finish your point, or?
No, that was pretty much it. That and just seeing the Iron Spider suit in action, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning that, because I was going to segue into the more geeky stuff. So yeah, listeners, we're about to go deep. We're going to like go through some deep cuts in this trailer. So if you're not too geeky, hopefully we won't spoil anything for you. And as I said, I've got two solid comic book guys here in Richard and Alvin who can explain anything in a context that hopefully you'll be able to understand. So let's get into it, man. So yeah, Iron Spider. We got our first look at the Spider-Man in the Iron Spider costume, a proper look at it. Obviously, we saw it at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, but this is like the first, you know, sort of proper glimpse of Spider-Man wearing the suit. How did you think the suit looked? Did it look good? Would you prefer Spidey to be in his traditional suit, as I've seen a few people say? What were your thoughts, Rich?
I liked it. Nothing wrong with it. Simple. And like you said, you know, if you're coming from like the comic book world, you know, this is something that we've been waiting for anyway, and something that has been asked for constantly. Like even I don't know if you guys remember that, but when they were mentioning how Spider-Man was going to be in Civil War, and people were saying, "Oh no, wouldn't it be really good if like if he gets like the Iron Spider?" I remember seeing that floating about for ages. I was happy with how it looked. Um, all the people saying that they would have preferred to see him in his Spider-Man costume, and they're just people that are just moaning for no reason, as far as I'm concerned. Because I think if anything, Peter's a smart boy.
Fanboys moaning for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. I mean, like, god damn it, like
Never. Not possible.
I mean, obviously, haven't seen a film, but I think it just makes sense that he would, even if he's doesn't have that to his at his disposal straight away. Looking at the size and the scale of what's attacking New York, he's pretty smart to go and get that costume to go and use that to battle whatever's coming through that portal anyway. So anybody expected to see him like stay in a Spider-Man costume? Like, come on, you don't take a fucking knife to a gunfight, do you? Well, unless you're Steven Seagal. But that's another thing. but you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was happy. I was actually happy seeing that. That's ticked off one of my Geek Boy fantasy boxes.
Cool. Alf, your thoughts on the Spider-Man costume? Did it look good as well? Did you think that like the CGI rendering on it was good? Yeah. What were your thoughts, basically?
I thought it was pretty good. Like I didn't expect the eyes to light up like that. I was quite surprised. And I didn't expect it because when you see it in Homecoming, to me it looked shiny. It didn't really look kind of metallic, but now like looking at it, it seems like it's more like Iron Man 2, his suitcase, his briefcase suit.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of that, kind of like a really streamlined Iron Man suit. So I think the closer up we get to see it, the more kind of intricate it's going to look, and the more you're going to kind of notice the metal and stuff. But I liked how kind of like shiny it was and all that. And yeah, Spider-Man, if you know, even if you know the basics of Spider-Man, he's had like different suits at different times for different things. So the fact that he's putting on a different suit, I'm fine with. I'm pretty sure he's not going to stick with that 100% of the time. We may see him start off in his, well, let's call this Civil War one, his original suit, and maybe he'll go back to it. Who knows? But changing up with Spider-Man is always a good thing, especially if the suits are kind of like changed up for a reason. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm down. I'm cool with it. I thought it looked fucking good, and it's a big event, man. So like, dress the boy up in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we've kind of done Spider-Man, we might as well segue into the part of the trailer which is kind of sort of centered in New York. I liked kind of the way that they've kind of hinted at the introduction of Bruce Banner in this, although I'm really curious to see like kind of how he ends up in the basement of the Sanctum Sanctorum with Doctor Strange and Wong looking over him. Because obviously at the end of Thor Ragnarok, we've seen him in the ship, with Thor and Loki and with the Asgardian refugees as well. And we got like a very quick tease in the trailer of what looked a hell of a lot to me like dead Asgardians and Loki walking over them and then handing the Tesseract to somebody. What do you guys think? How do you think Hulk has ended up back on Earth? And do you think that's dead Asgardians, or do you think that's just some randos maybe on on the Nova's planet, the Xandar, or somewhere like that? Sorry, whoever wants to go first.
Okay. So in regards to those dead peeps, I'm looking at them now, and I can't figure out what part of me was going to go suggest they're kind of like magic users or something, but because they're quite roby looking. But then looking at the legs, I'm not sure if that's Loki. They look like CGI rendering to me. Maybe it was one of the children of Thanos, and they've like
cut it really well.
And then they've cut it so it looks like it. Because I swear, looking at the legs, I always thought there's something weird about him because they look like, I don't know, something about him that doesn't look human to me and look like they're maybe rendered. So I think they're two separate bits, but lighting is probably similar. And that's a conclusion, just because I keep looking at that foot and that boot. I'm just like, it just looks it looks a bit CG to me. So I don't know. I don't think they're the same scene. But in regards to how Banner gets back, I have no fucking clue. I'm just gonna go ahead and assume magic somehow, teleportation perhaps. But I can't. Did he fall out of the sky? Could he have fall out of the sky? Perhaps. But I don't know why though. Why would he? Because where would Thor be? Because it looks like Thor's out in space in it still.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was just curious, really, as to how that kind of things end up. Rich, you got any theories?
Well, I'll tell you the first thing I saw when I saw Bruce Banner in the basement of this the Sanctorum. It just basically just reminded me of the Silver Surfer landed or basically crash landing through the Sanctorum just before the Infinity Gauntlet starts. So basically, issue 50 of Silver Surfer. I'm gonna give you guys a bit of history, like as a listener, to anybody who doesn't know. Yeah, issue 50 is basically Silver Surfer having a battle with Thanos and getting his ass handed to him, give or take. And he basically falls to Earth and lands in the Sanctorum, and it's Wong that finds the Silver Surfer, and all he keeps on saying is like Thanos, like he's mumbling Thanos. And when he wakes up, the first word he screams is Thanos, and then basically he lets Doctor Strange know, and then that's how they basically alert the other heroes that Thanos has come back to life, because that would be the third time that he's come back. That would be the third time he's come back to life and tried to take over the universe. So the thing is, take into account his clothes are ripped. So I reckon what we're going to see is this is my theory, that ship that you see at the end of Thor Ragnarok, maybe I'm more than 50% sure that it might be Thanos' ship, and he just goes to fucking work.
That's confirmed.
It is Thanos' ship, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Marvel confirmed it themselves. That is Thanos' ship. Wow.
Okay, so basically, I reckon that everybody gets their ass handed to them, and basically, and he maybe throws what's his name, like the Hulk, maybe through some portals, and then basically the portals lead back to Earth. But the thing that, like I said, to me, the thing that strikes me is that he's got his ass handed to him. It's not like he's just there and he's the Hulk. No. He's obviously been the Hulk at some point and landed through there, and now he's Banner. That's fucking trouble. That's a problem there and then. So that's what I get from that. So I basically reckon that he's going to get his ass. Him and Thor will get the ass handed to them by Thanos since the last time we saw them in Ragnarok, and this will lead obviously to maybe Tony Stark being called, or maybe Tony Stark monitoring for when there's maybe a spike in gamma radiation, because you have to remember that Tony Stark and Bruce Banner are friends. So, and that would then maybe tie into how you see Tony Stark in the Sanctorum and that little quartet together anyway. But that's just me just thinking ahead and trying to make a story of what I think will happen in the film from what we've just seen in the trailer. So it could be completely wrong.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's just a theory. You know?
Yeah.
You don't have to be right.
I think he's right about him getting his ass kicked though, because looking at Mark Ruffalo's face, he looks like he's seen fucking the devil in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looks like, oh shit, what the fuck was that? That's what it looks like he's saying on his face, and that's just 2 seconds. So yeah, I think you're right, definitely right about him getting his ass kicked for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. So what did you guys think about the other kind of key scene that we saw in there, which was the introduction, really, or the reintroduction of Team Cap, basically with Black Widow and Captain America, or well, he doesn't look a lot like Captain America, being reintroduced into the movie. I don't know if it's just me, but it looked to me like when the costume he was wearing, he'd scratched off the star on his chest. And I was looking, when I watched it for like the 10th time, I was looking to see if there was any kind of Avengers logos on there, and I couldn't see anything. So my question is, do you think that he is adopting the Nomad persona for this film? And Rich, could you just quickly explain to people what the Nomad persona is? Because obviously, yeah, some people listening to this probably won't have a clue what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, Alvin, do you think he's kind of like gone under that kind of he's adopted that persona because of the events of Civil War and things like that?
From what people have said, and I'm only familiar with Nomad once people had actually mentioned, once I'd actually seen Civil War and what happened in that. That was around the first time of me hearing about it. Obviously, like, looked into it and that, and like obviously saw the original costume in that. But if you notice, during Civil War, he actually does tear off like the Avengers A from his shoulder. So that kind of started off kind of like the changes in his costume.
Jesus.
Richard, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. Technology, I don't like it. I don't like technology. I'm trying to
Rich,
turn
turn the volume
Sorry.
down. Yeah, turn the volume down.
Yeah, I did. There we go.
And yeah, you're totally right about like you're totally right about the star being like scrubbed out and all that. Essentially, it is the same suit, but where the star was, it's so blue. All kind of like logos have been taken off. I think the only thing that kind of really remains is the red and white in like the lower abdomen. But apart from that, yeah, it's all the same. But I think it looks pretty cool, man. And if they do like finally properly confirm that, yeah, this is the MCU version of him being Nomad and he doesn't go by the name Cap anymore, I think that would be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, same here. Rich, could you just quickly explain to people like what the Nomad persona is in for Captain America and why he kind of adopts it in the comics?
Well, basically, the Nomad character comes about when Captain America is called before the World Council or the US Council, and basically he's told that he's American property. Because like the super soldier serum was government funded and it was put into him, and so because he basically has the super soldier in him, they now own him because he has a super soldier serum. And he basically says that you can't own a person that's against their rights. So, and he says, well, listen, if you don't give me enough freedom to do what I need to do, then I'll leave. And they say, okay, then cool. And so they ask him to leave his shield because his shield is also US property. And then he basically takes upon the persona of Nomad. And it was I think it was written, the actual period of Nomad was written by Mark Grunwald. And it was and I remember it was a period when like America, basically the character of Steve Rogers was trying to find his place in America, and through him they were just trying to like, it was almost like that whole period was him just traveling America and trying to find the spirit. Like he was on a bike, he had slightly longer hair, sometimes had a bit of a beard, and it was almost like the Easy Rider Captain America. That he was trying to find the goodness in something that he truly believed in, and he felt that he embodied, but he couldn't find what originally made him feel that way. So that's what the whole Nomad feel was. And obviously a Nomad is somebody who belongs everywhere but nowhere. So that's what the whole period of him being Nomad is, because essentially his country and his love has been stripped away from him, which is something which actually, if you watch the Captain America films, is actually a running theme. All of the Marvel films are standalone films. There's always some form of like gaining something or loss or some form of family. Captain America's family throughout his films is basically the country of America, and then you've got like physical manifestations of family. So you've got people like Bucky, or you've got people like Peggy Carter. I know I'm going too deep. I know, I'm really, really sorry. but that's the story of Nomad. And I think he actually is taking on the persona of Nomad, and it would make sense, especially if they are on the run since the actions that happened in Civil War, and the costume is dark navy, which is the costume that the color of the Nomad costume in the comic book. And the other reason why I believe it's that he might be Nomad is that Nomad used to have, because he didn't really use the shield, he had little discs attached to his costume. So on his cape, on his belt, on his boots, on his gloves and things like that. That doesn't really feel very practical in this day and age, especially for a film. But he does have those gauntlets on his hands that the Wakandans seem to have. So I reckon he's going to have those the throwing discs inside the gauntlets, and that's what he's going to use to fight. So okay. That's my theory.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for the explanation. The other thing, I guess, that kind of segues us nicely into the other key part around that part of the trailer, which is obviously Vision. Now, when we're first introduced to him, he kind of seems to have adopted a human form or human persona. But as a character, he does seem to be able to kind of shapeshift a little bit. So, I'm guessing that's probably just a display of that. And then we get that scene that everybody's talking about where it appears as if someone is trying to remove the stone from his head. Quick question. Don't need to go give a detailed answer right now because we don't know. But do you think Vision dies in this scene? Because a lot of people have been speculating that this is his death. This is his death. I'm not so sure myself, personally. And I'll tell you a little bit why. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is the moment that we all knew was coming and that this is his death? Or do you think they're kind of, as Marvel love to do with their trailers, they're playing a bit of a trick on us with this scene? Alvin, you can go first.
Well, I'm just kind of thinking, can he die? I mean, wouldn't he, without the Mind Stone, the Soul Stone, wouldn't he just be like an android?
You know,
well,
that's exactly my thoughts.
Can't emote.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. And there's a reason why I'm coming to you second, Richard, because there's precedent for this in the comics, so I want you to explain it. But sorry, Alf. Yeah, that's exactly my thinking. Isn't he just an android? So even if you remove the stone, that doesn't necessarily terminate his life force, does it? It just kind of says he doesn't have the Infinity Stone. So, maybe that affects his abilities to a degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's dead now, does it? But yeah, sorry, go on, Alvin.
No, but that was pretty much it. Yeah, I just think if you remove it, I don't see how he can necessarily die. Just because of the removal of that. Like nah, I just can't see it happening. No, because I think if someone's gonna actually die, it's gonna be one of the human characters that I reckon is gonna die, because wait to it. I mean, yes, it's Paul Bettany essentially in a suit. But I don't think, I still think of Vision as a robot, an android, AI, a person. So if he died, I'd be like, oh, Vision's dead. Would be much more weighty if one of the other Avengers died, because they're kind of like actual people in terms of the characters that they are. Like if Tony Stark died, like that would be fucking massive, you know what I mean, or something like that. But yeah, I died. Yeah, no, I'm not 100% on that.
Cool. Yeah, Rich, as I said, I wanted to come to you second because there is precedence in the comics, isn't there, where Vision has gone through changes, shall we say, where he's come back as something else, and he's come back as an android, but his programming has been completely changed, and he's been like kind of not what the Avengers are used to. So with that kind of in mind, do you think that's possibly something that maybe that's what they're teasing here, rather than just a straightforward, oh, we've taken the gem and now he's dead kind of thing?
I'd like to see it happen. I wouldn't like to see him die. I think it's too soon. But the thing is, I'll tell you the reason why I don't think he would die, and this is my theory, is that he's the next evolution. I wouldn't say the next step up evolution. I'd consider him like a sidestep evolution of being human. And he's also in possession of an Infinity Stone. That's not something. Then remember, you have to take into account the Infinity Stone isn't something that you can just carry around like no one's business and use it just like that. They're things of immense power. I reckon that stone gets taken out of his head and he doesn't die. Or if he does die, it's almost in a spiritual sense, that when he does come back, he comes back a different person. And I think he comes back with a soul. That's my theory. I reckon he'll come back with the soul, and I'll tell you why I would say this. When you see him and Scarlet Witch, it doesn't just look like they're on the run, and you kind of get this feeling from them when watching Civil War. When they see everything that's happening around them, they just want to just leave it all behind. It looks like they don't even want to continue in this whole superhero gig. So I reckon when Captain America breaks them out, he gives everybody a choice. And they're just like, listen, I just want to lead a normal life. And that's what you see them trying to do. And so basically you've got like Wanda trying to lead a normal life with somebody whose powers that she doesn't understand, which she expressed in Civil War. Then you've got Vision trying to become more human, especially considering that he's the next evolution, or let's say the next step of being a human, but he's not. But then the power that he possesses is something which can take and give souls. So I reckon he if he doesn't die, he'll be left with a soul, with something that will change him immensely, and maybe make him weaker to the team, but in different ways make him stronger to the team and make him more interesting. Not that he's not interesting already, but give some meat to the bones of the character of Vision, since we've only seen him like once. So that's why I reckon it's too soon to kill him.
Yeah, I kind of have the same kind of thoughts along that line as well, in a sense that I think there's a lot more they could still do with the character of Vision. I don't think we really seen much of Vision at all, beyond kind of being a plot device, really. They haven't really done much with him. So I feel it would be a bit cheap to kind of get rid of him in that way, and certainly to give it away in the trailer as well. So that's why I think there's a bit of misdirection. Marvel are being a bit naughty again and are trying to tell you one thing is going on when in reality it's not. But we shall see. Right, we're running out of time, so we're going to have to run through the rest of these quick. But quickly, can you all just confirm with me that anybody who complains about Black Widow having blonde hair is an idiot, please? Because I've seen so many people going, why is she blonde? Why have they made her hair blonde? She's got red hair. That's her signature. She's got red hair. She's on the run, you idiot. Why would she walk around with the same thing on her head that everybody knows her for if she's on the run? Like I was just like, come on, people, man. Come on. Like, fix up. So nobody, I'm assuming neither of you have a problem with Black Widow having blonde hair, yeah?
It makes sense. The whole Avengers team that's on the run have changed their look. And all of their looks. Apart from who? Has his costume changed at all or no?
No, it has a little bit. It has, yeah. Not much,
but his look, I mean, like in terms of on the run look, he doesn't have an.
Oh no. Yeah, he hasn't like kind of adopted the disguise or anything. But yeah, his costume has been tweaked slightly. You can see it in some of those Vanity Fair images that they released.
Okay.
But yeah. So you agree with me? That's nonsense. All right, cool.
Yeah, pure nonsense.
Let's move on. Do you think it was a good idea to leave out the children of Thanos? Because we got kind of like micro glimpses at what I think is Proxima Midnight. I think she throws her spear at Cap, and then Cap catches the spear. And in the Vision scene, we were talking about the boot that you see on his chest with the cloak and the way the cloak is shredded. I think that might be Corvus Glaive, but they've really kind of, otherwise they've left, they've really left the children of Thanos out of the trailer altogether. Good idea, bad idea?
A good idea, just because it's focus on the heroes to start off with, and obviously for the main trailer, which I'm guessing will be released closer to the release of the film, then you can show us kind of more story elements and kind of like all the additional kind of villainy there's going to be. So I'm glad it kind of focused on our heroes, because they're who we've been with since the beginning. So it's their struggle and their fight. So them first. Cool. Anything to add to that, Rich?
Well, I'm thinking that now that you've even just mentioned that to me, like how they've kept the children of Thanos out of the trailer. Listen, we might not even see Thanos do some badassery in this. We might see like 5 minutes of it. He might do a fucking Luke Skywalker like at the end of episode 7 and just appear silent while someone just hands him a lightsaber. He might just do something like that. And this whole film just might be the children of Thanos just battering everybody. And we just turn around and go like, well, listen, his fucking kids, give or take, just handed them their asses. What more when the daddy comes home? So they could be setting up intentionally for that. And because I mean, if you think about it, Thanos is, everybody knows that Thanos is the big bad, but it's kind of going to be hard to try and introduce 4 new characters in a trailer that nobody, if you're not a fan of the comic book, knows about. So maybe that's why they like you said, like they're intercutting certain scenes, just so just to make you focus on Thanos and maybe getting closer to the film's release with different trailers. And obviously when you see the film, that's when you see the children of Thanos and you'll see the full reveal of them. Right now, it's too early to be trying to force those characters onto us. Like you said, Alvin, concentrate on the heroes first, remind us why we're here. And then as time gets closer, then we'll start to expand and slowly get given, answers to questions that we have.
Yep, good points, man. And I'd agree with that as well, to be honest. Although the geek in me was like, oh, I want to see them, but like, no, you're right. It makes sense. All right, we've got 4 minutes left, so let's just talk about that beautiful money shot, and not just the money shot, but the scenes that lead up to it as well. Just like amazing. Now, I will say this. I have, as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I've complained about this and Alvin has complained about this, that, we're kind of a bit tired of seeing like lots of CGI things attacking other CGI things. And sometimes it feels a bit emotionless and a bit repetitive. But even I've got to say that sweeping wide shot where you get the, I don't know what the hell it is, but the things that come out of the sky spears and start running across the grass in what we assume is Wakanda, and then Black Panther and Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America kind of leading the Wakandan forces to meet them on the battlefield. That shot alone, I was like, wow, that is Lord of the Rings-esque. Like in terms of the way that they've done that, it was an incredible shot, and it looked a lot like a comic book panel as well. It reminded me a lot of the original, well, not the original, but Jonathan Hickman's Infinity comic book. When I think it's Black Dwarf, isn't it, who goes to Wakanda with I can't remember what they're called now in Infinity, the aliens. But yeah, it's him who takes kind of Thanos' forces to Wakanda to try and take control of Wakanda and knock it out before Thanos arrives. And yeah, as Richard's been saying on the podcast, get their asses handed to them. But that panel, that shot reminded me of specific panels from that comic book. That was just breathtaking. Guys, I mean, did you ever think you'd see something so beautiful in a bloody Marvel trailer as that shot? What were your thoughts on it?
Well, for me, it's like the kind of hero shots on that they've been doing throughout the MCU. There used to be smaller moments, and then kind of like Avengers came out and kind of elevated it. And, you had that one that goes all around and all that kind of business.
Oh, the tracking shots.
Yeah. And what I really like about this one, though, because I mean, some films have them more than others. Like Guardians had like a hero shot, Guardians 2 and stuff like that. But this one, the camera's pretty static. It's just people running towards it, but it's the framing of where everyone is, how kind of Cap's kind of central. You've got Black Panther and Bucky on either side of him, and a bit behind, you've got Black Widow, and I don't know the character's name from Black Panther, but is she one of the Doja Milaje?
Oh, Okoye.
Yeah. And then you've got in the very back, you've got Hulk, and then at the top on left and right, you've got War Machine and Falcon, and it is just. It's a double page spread. It's like you're reading a story, and you're seeing both of those sides about to go to war, and then you just open the page, and that's comic books right there. You know what I mean? On the screen, that is literally it. It's fucking fantastic, and it's just so simple, slow motion running, and it just looks beautiful. And that music kicks in. I'm just like, oh my god, this is great. That for me was like the moment, like the climax.
Yeah, for sure. Rich Kid, man, boy.
Yeah.
Speak on this, son. Preach. The church is listening.
Okay, I'm gonna break it down for you. So you've got like, I'm talking like so like for team movies that we've got, and I'm also going to include Captain America: Civil War, because I still don't consider Captain America: Civil War like a solo movie. I'm sorry, I don't. It's Avengers 2.1 or 2.5. So you get Avengers, the first one, and or like if I think it's called, is it called Avengers Assemble in the UK? Yeah, it's called Avengers Assemble. When you watch that, when you watch that, that's what it is. It's the team assembling. And you fucking get that. It's the team assembling, and they go out and they knock it out the park. When you see the trailer, like that's what you've been waiting for X amount of years. When you've seen all these solo movies and so on, and then when you get to the film, you're given the full package, and then you see the Age of Ultron, and you can see the story progressing throughout the whole film. Battle at the end, where you've got these Avengers that have assembled from the first one, who are now fighting against Ultron, and it essentially is the Age of Ultron. When you see all those robots flying around and you see how much damage it's caused, it's like, shit, okay, we may have ended it, but the title is in the film. Same thing. So when you see the Avengers Assemble, especially that tracking shot at the end of Avengers, when it shows Captain America and Iron Man and doing all of that stuff, that's them assembling. That final battle in the Age of Ultron, that's them battling against the Age of Ultron. When you watch Captain America: Civil War, we know what's happening. It's a civil war, and it's Captain America's solo film. So obviously, the ending is him versus Iron Man. That's where the Civil War starts. That's where the Civil War starts and continues. When he drops the shield, that's Civil War. Boom. This is called Infinity War. Throughout this whole fucking trailer, that's all he's been given. If you think about it, there's not really that much exposition in any form of way, apart from the fact that everybody is being called to arms. And I tell you the reason, and I tell you the prime example that really caught my eye is that you see everyone that you see in this trailer is going to take a hero, and whether it be like Spider-Man, who's just like a normal street level, or technologically wise like Iron Man. But then you see Wong in the background as well, and even he's got like the whole the shield things that Doctor Strange uses. So that final scene at the end, when you see them running towards each other, that's what we're going to watch. I don't think people understand that. That I think it's going to be half exposition, and the second half of the film is just going to be like fucking Lord of the Rings, and the Two Towers. So it's just going to be that battle of what's the battle in the Two Towers called?
Battle of Helm's Deep.
The Battle of Helm's Deep. That's what we're going to get. So in the title where it says Infinity War, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get fucking superheroes going to war against fucking all different types of aliens and the children of Thanos. So like, I'm just super stoked, man. That's what I get when I see it. Is to me, this trailers and what we've got in the team films is essentially the same as like when they used to try and work the titles of the film into dialogue of of the film itself. So, for example, you might get like Dr. Brown running up to Martin going, "Marty, we've got to go back to the future," and he might as well look at the screen and give like a fucking little wink. So, like of everything. So that's all I'm going to preach about that. What we've been told, the story is, and the title that we've been given. That's exactly what we're going to get from what I can see in this trailer, and I can't wait.
Cool. Well, that's a nice place to end it, man. Thank you very much. Final thoughts, actually, before we go. In no more than like 10 words, is anybody dying in this film? And if so, who? And either one of you can jump in on that.
Alvin?
I think it should be Tony Stark.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's what I think it should be.
Yeah? Rich, how about you?
Nobody would die in this.
Nobody.
There'll be some casualties, but no one will die.
Okay.
Actually, I want to say either in this movie or the next, I'd like it to be Tony. Or by the next, I'd like it to be Tony.
I think with Avengers 4, we're definitely getting deaths by Avengers 4. By Avengers Infinity War, I think any of the main cast, no, I don't think so. But I think periphery characters, definitely periphery characters are dying in this film.
Hawkeye's family's gone. Hawkeye's family's gone.
Yes, Hawkeye's family's gone. I wouldn't be shocked if Marie Hill was killed off.
Man.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do something with Nick Fury as well, because I'm pretty sure Samuel Jackson's contract is now up. I don't even think he's contracted for Avengers 4. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. All of them kind of periphery people, gone. Gone. Yeah, they're all gone in this one.
You might as well say, listen, if you can't fly or fire fucking laser beams, you're out.
Yeah, you're done. You're done. Pack up and go on. As for the big three, I don't think Tony's going to die, I don't think
Not even in the next one.
No. You know who I think is going to die? Captain America. I think Captain America come Avengers 4 will be gone. Partly because... For political reasons, just purely because I think Chris Evans is literally done by Avengers 4. I think that his contract runs to that and then that's it. But also because I think you mentioned kind of his character arc earlier, Rich, but I think it's building to him making an ultimate sacrifice, a sacrifice even bigger than the ones he's already made. And I think that it's going to culminate in him basically giving his life to save his friends and his family, and the only people that he really has in his life as friends and family. So I think he'll go. I think 4 is safe, I think, although I think there'll be changes with 4. Definitely Tony, I think, is not going to be killed. I think what will happen with Tony is he'll be scaled down, and he'll be pared back, and he'll be made like a mentor character. So I think he'll continue to kind of mentor Spider-Man, and I think whatever they decide to do with Iron Man and the Iron Man character, I think he'll regularly feature as kind of a mentor to that person. But I don't think by the end of Avengers 4 he'll still be pulling on suits and be an Iron Man. I think he'll be done.
Riri Williams.
That's me. Yeah, maybe. So, if they go down that road, then it would make perfect sense to have him, around as a mentor to her. And
Sebastian,
that way.
Sorry,
go on.
But what Sebastian Stan, he's actually got quite a few more movies left on his contract.
Yeah.
I know that he was. I think he was slated for 9 films.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, if they're going to follow the comic book route, then it might be him taking over, which would make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it is a thing. It is a thing. But the popularity of Chris Evans as Captain America, though, I mean, as much as the comic book guy might want to see Winter Soldier become Captain America, Chris Evans has pretty much nailed it, man. That's like the reason why I'm thinking, could he leave, or would they get rid of him? Is essentially the same as like Robert Downey Jr. Like, I reckon even if it's like a scaled down part, they know that it's going to be hard to replace somebody like that. The same thing for Hemsworth. You can't replace Hemsworth as Thor now. Not after Ragnarok. Like, it's done. Thor: The Dark World, you could have said, yeah, you know what, the big Australian guy is pretty, but he ain't all that. Let's get someone else. After Ragnarok, he's pretty much cemented. So I reckon if they do get rid of Evans in Avengers 4, I reckon there could be a possibility that he does return at some point. Any idea? No one ever really dies.
I reckon they'll give him like they'll give him that contract where it's like, we may possibly call you up again in the future.
Yeah. But, he's got open contract.
Yeah. But I think the impression I get with Chris Evans is that he's kind of ready to say like, I'm done now. I've kind of done this long enough. He's always talked about wanting to do other things, wanting to like kind of direct his own films and all of that kind of stuff. And I think he feels he can't really juggle both because of his commitments to Marvel Studios, because not just because of the films, but because he has to make appearances and he has to do this and that and the other. And
but physicality as well. Like, obviously, physically, he's constantly training. Yeah.
You constantly have to be training all the time as well.
The same reason why Hugh Jackman. Remember, that's what Hugh Jackman said. He was like, it's kind of getting a bit much just training. Like, he was actually Wolverine for like X amount of years. He was like, I was Logan, bruv. I just want to eat donuts. and say, Dingo ate my baby, and say stuff like that, man.
All right, boys. Well, let's bring the thing to a close, man. So, hopefully, listeners, that gave you a kind of clear idea of what you were seeing in that trailer. If you didn't know, maybe you have some theories and some different things that you have, some ideas that you have maybe about where this story is going, and what we can expect to see from Avengers Infinity War in May. Let us know what you think. You can get in touch with us via email at wulongtalkspodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're more into social media interactions, then you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Wulong Talks. Just type that in any one of those apps and you'll find us. All right, let's say goodnight, man. Before we go, boys, do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at BigA85GL. Yeah.
Cool. Rich?
Instagram, you can catch me at Rich Reviews. Twitter, you can catch me on Rich Reviews. Obviously, the Instagram is Wulong Talks. And obviously, there's the website, www.wulongtalks.com.
Okay, cool. All right, boys. Thanks a lot, man. Say goodnight. Alvin?
Night.
Rich? Oh, you decided not to say goodnight? Okay.
Yeah, good night. Good night.
Oh dear, what a jackass. Good night, people. We'll see you later. Yeah.